Would you like to experience family time versus family tension this holiday season? Wouldn't that feel fantastic? Well, that is exactly what we are diving into today. Hello, beautiful human, and welcome back to the I Come First podcast. I'm your host, Amie Barsky, and today, boy, do I have a gift for you to use this holiday season, especially during those complex family dinner table dynamics that seem to explode like champagne bottles during the holidays. I have a feeling this is more than likely already keeping you up at night. You know, that knot in your stomach when you see your mom's name pop up on your phone and you're thinking, oh gosh, should I answer this? She's probably going to critique my green bean casserole from last year and tell me how I can make it better again. Or that subtle eye roll that you try to hide when Aunt Pam starts interrogating you in your dating life. Yes, I have been there. In fact, I remember a time when I went hiding in the bathroom to take some deep breaths after hearing some passive aggressive comments about how I'm too picky in my dating life and I'm getting older. Honestly, I sat there, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, Amie, tell me again why you didn't take that trip to Bali instead of being tormented by people who you thought should love you no matter what. Now, I'm sure they love us. I don't doubt that. However, I think sometimes they have a funny way of showing it. And you know what? We do choose to spend time with them instead of going to Bali because deep down inside, we love them too. So, what is my gift to you to help you navigate this season with a whole lot more ease and flow? Today, I have three powerful practices that will support you during these gatherings so that you can finally experience your family time in a very different way this year. I've learned this through my own healing journey and from coaching hundreds of women all over the world to understand that these triggers, these tensions, they're actually invitations. They're invitations for you to step into your power. They're invitations for you to rewrite old patterns. They're invitations for you to navigate with a response versus that sharp reaction. And of course, to finally put yourself first without drowning in guilt. These three powerful practices have not only saved my own family gatherings from completely imploding at times, but have helped my clients transform from dreading the holidays to leading them with grace and authenticity and actually enjoying their time together, even with their in laws. The first practice I want to share with you is called bring your own weather. You get to bring your own weather, the thing, the feeling, the essence that you want to experience. So before you even bake your sweet potato pie or pack your bags, spend 10 minutes forecasting your emotional weather, meaning what situation typically triggers you? Which family member pushes your buttons? Now, I want you to write it all down. And then here's where the magic happens. With each trigger, create a power phrase. My personal power phrase is I choose peace over proving. And I chose this because I used to try to prove myself to my family. I often felt like the black sheep in my family because I chose the route of entrepreneurship instead of the safe job. So I was desperately wanting to feel the approval of my family, to feel like I belong, like I fit in, like I was accepted. And so when someone starts suggesting that I should change careers for something more stable, instead of getting defensive, I'd silently repeat my phrase, I choose peace over approving. And this simple practice has saved me time and time again from countless arguments while keeping me protected of my energy, right? My choice. Now, the second practice, I call this one clear boundaries and connection pivot. This one is fun because it usually takes them completely by surprise. Start creating three non negotiable boundaries before any family event. Okay. I like to think of them as lifelines. But here's where it gets really powerful. For each boundary, pair it with a connection pivot. For example, when I hear things like, oh, my son's neighbor just got divorced, and Amie, he's so handsome. He's a dentist. He's successful. Oh my gosh, I already gave her your number. And I'm thinking, what? Or the classic, Amie, you are such a catch. I don't understand why you're so single. What is going on? Oh my gosh, your standards must be impossible. Now, I have my boundary already in set place, right? I choose first not to engage in any conversation that turns into commentary of my dating life. That's first and foremost. But instead of creating that awkwardness that can happen, I tap into my heart with genuine curiosity. And it could sound something like, hey, Aunt Pam, tell me about that most meaningful holiday tradition growing up. I'd love to hear about that. Another really good boundary is I love taking walks. Would you like to join me? I'd love to hear about your new home project. Now, this approach doesn't mean that you are avoiding anything. You're actually redirecting genuine connection. This approach does two things. It actually protects your energy while simultaneously deepening these relationships. And I really want to emphasize on genuine connection for deeper relationships because ultimately, as humans, that's what we desire. One of the best ways to do that is to show that you care, to show that you are interested in knowing them. If we can practice this within our family dynamics, then we can for sure take this into our lives with other relationships, with our partners, with our children, with our coworkers, with our friends, right? This will ripple out effortlessly if you practice it here. The last practice I want to share with you is called the Career Confidence Shield. Now, let's talk about what comes up specifically for women during the holidays around work, navigating those subtle or sometimes not so subtle jabs about your career choices. Those ones like, oh, you're still working those long hours, or my personal favorite, why don't you get a real job, Amie? Here's my strategy, and I call it the success story spotlight. Instead of defending your choices or shrinking yourself, come prepared with 3 concrete wins from your year. But here's the key. Frame them in terms of impact versus achievements. Years ago, my mom started questioning my choice to start my own coaching business. And instead of getting flustered, I shared about the woman who finally had the courage after my coaching sessions to leave her toxic workplace. She got a job that she loves and she doubled her income. One time I shared with my mom about a client who finally had the confidence to walk away from an emotionally unfulfilling and verbally abusive relationship. I also shared with her that the community I've been building, where we get to support each other, women who are supporting each other's dreams instead of competing against one another. And the magic that came with that, when you speak in a quiet confidence about the lives you're touching, about the impact that you're making, the changes that are happening in the world, even when there are long working days. Okay, that's inevitable sometimes. Just the sheer joy that your work brings can shift everyone's energy because you're sharing from your heart space. And this isn't about bragging. This is about owning your path in such a clear conviction that those questions naturally start to dissolve. Now, remember, sometimes these comments, they come from a genuine place. They come from a genuine concern or even a misunderstanding. It's a good idea to keep a simple statistic or a few stories in your back pocket as well. I like to share things that I know about, like, oh my gosh, did you know that women entrepreneurs generated over $3 trillion in revenue last year? Like, that's huge. Another fun fact is that around 14 million businesses in the US are owned by women. 14 million. This just blows my mind. And when I share that with them, they are almost speechless. And, something I read about this year that I was really excited to feel in my heart space was 60% of people who pursue their passions instead of just settling for some generic job that they don't actually love and care about, they live much healthier, much longer, much happier lives. Now, before we wrap up, let me share with you as well 3 mistakes I see women make all the time, because knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. So tuck these 3 pitfalls into your back pocket so you don't have to fall into them. Pitfall number 1 is over explaining boundaries. Not along if you know that you are an over explainer. I used to do this consistently. When I'd say I needed a break, I'd launch into a 5-minute spiel about my stress levels and self care and blah, 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 blah. Here's the truth: no is a complete sentence. I need some fresh air is enough. You don't need to say any more. The more you explain, the more you invite debate. Pitfall number 2 is taking the bait. When someone makes that slightly judgmental comment and you feel that immediate urge to defend yourself, this is normal. And that's the bait. When Aunt Pam says, "You work so much, I never ever hear from you. You never call me." And you start listing all of your accomplishments and all the things you've been doing and what you've been up to, that's you taking the bait. So remember, you don't have to pick up everything that everyone throws your way. Pitfall number 3, trying to change their minds. Now, this was a very hard lesson for me to learn. I used to come to my family gatherings with statistics, armored with success stories, and rehearsed speeches about my choices. But here's what I've learned: family gatherings is not for your TED Talk. You're not there to convince anyone of anything. So just don't do it. Save your breath instead. Here's one more thing I do at night, or sometimes when I'm on my way before I'm about to arrive somewhere. So, be it I'm traveling by plane, train, or automobile, I take some time to write down 3 things that I genuinely appreciate about each family member, especially the ones who push your buttons the most. Okay, so you write that down. And this shifts your energy from dread to compassion even before you walk in the door. It works so well for me. And I truly hope you try this practice as well. Real talk, I have used these practices time and time again when my family starts questioning my decisions, whether it's about my romantic life or running my own business. And instead of getting defensive or shrinking, which is what my old pattern used to be, I stay grounded in my worth. I share authentically about my mission to help women step into their power. And you know what? Often those conversations lead to deeper connections and understandings of my choices. Remember, family tension doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's quite the opposite, actually. It usually means you're doing something right. You're growing, you're evolving, you're becoming authentically you. And sometimes that growth makes others uncomfortable because it highlights their own unmet needs for change. Before I sign off, I want you to remember this: you can love your family deeply and still love yourself first. You can honor your traditions while creating new ones that honor your growth. Finally, you're not responsible for managing anyone's emotions at all. However, you are responsible for protecting your own emotions, your own energy, and keeping your inner peace. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Will you please come over to Instagram and DM me? My Instagram handle is Amie Barsky Coaching. I would love to hear your biggest takeaways, what boundaries you are setting this holiday season, and how are you choosing to show up for yourself differently this year? Until next time, I'm sending you love and inner peace and power this holiday season. Oh, and please don't forget to rate and review and subscribe to the I Come First podcast. Every review helps another woman find her way into this community. It's together that we rise. Thank you so much from my heart to yours. We'll see you next time.